presentation, State Representative Bryan Lentz is advocating a STEM-related initiative, and I'll let him talk about that. And we're delighted that he chose our facility as a backdrop for making that announcement. And I have the pleasure, leading off here, to introduce Bryan Lentz. He is the state representative from the 161st District, which is where the college is. He's also a candidate, a Democratic candidate for Pennsylvania's 7th Congressional District. You may, hopefully you are aware of that. Bryan was first elected to the Pennsylvania State House in 2006. In the state legislature, he has worked tirelessly to create jobs, to reform government, to improve access to quality health care and education for all Pennsylvanians. He's also a good friend of community colleges. He understands the role of community colleges and has been very supportive of making more investments in community colleges. And so we're very delighted to have him here and play host to him today. And without further ado, I'm going to turn the program over to Bryan Lentz.
Thank you very much to President Parker and to the community college for hosting us today. This is an exciting day for me and for the community college. We're here to talk specifically about a piece of state legislation that I have introduced to create jobs in the green energy sector here in Pennsylvania. But we are privileged to be joined today by the Majority Leader of the United States House of Representatives, Congressman Steny Hoyer, who I will introduce in a little bit. Energy and jobs go in the same sentence. You may have been hearing a lot about the connection between jobs and the opportunities offered by the clean energy sector. And what I have tried to do with this legislation called the Pennsylvania Green Zones Energy Legislation is to make Pennsylvania a place attractive for companies that are manufacturing, making things, inventing things, creating new technology in the clean energy sector. This legislation takes advantage of the fact that Pennsylvania is very blessed to be the site of a huge reserve of natural gas. You may have read in the paper lately about the Marcellus Shale. It's a natural gas reserve which they say is comparable to the oil reserves in Saudi Arabia. Pennsylvania is almost sure to join the 90+% of other states that have natural gas in applying a severance tax to the extraction of that natural gas. There is a lot of argument about what the best use of that revenue will be, which can go into the billions of dollars. I have proposed using a significant part of that revenue to fund zones where companies that would set up either in the manufacture of things like solar panels or wind turbines or whatever the latest technology is in production of clean energy, they would receive a 15-year tax-free status in that zone. But we have added as part of that these zones must be co-located with an area served by a community college which has a science, technology, engineering, and math program, like the program here at Delaware County Community College. We all know that when companies are looking to set up shop, looking where to settle, the first thing they look at is whether you have an educated workforce so that they know they can hire people in the area to make their product, produce their product. And we are lucky here in the 7th Congressional District here in Delaware County to have an institution like the Delaware County Community College, which is, as we speak, training students in science, technology, engineering, and math in the kind of skills that are necessary for us to take advantage of the great opportunity that is created by the clean energy sector and the emerging technologies in the clean energy sector. So I'm hopeful that this legislation will pass at the state level. This kind of legislation works. Legislation at both the federal and state level, which is designed to encourage the expansion and the greater use of clean energy, has worked to create jobs and create opportunity in Pennsylvania already. We're already one of the leading states when it comes to renewable energy. And just to prove to you that it has worked, I'd like to introduce you to a company which is in my legislative district, and they can introduce themselves when they come up. But a company called Open Sky, which is a company in the business of installing solar panels on homes and businesses, which is thriving because of the federal and state tax credits that were created to encourage people to install solar energy in their homes and their businesses so that the return on that investment is much quicker than it would be without the help of the state and the federal government. They also will talk about what something like green zones would do for their business, giving them the opportunity to purchase the solar panels that they are installing, purchase them locally, and purchase the ones that they're installing locally because they would be manufactured in one of these green zones. Before we introduce Congressman Hoyer, I'd like to ask Brooklyn Scott to come up and tell you about their business and how this kind of legislation is helping.